Hey, everybody, welcome. I give a moment for our broadcast to catch up and to get everybody inside. Get some eyeballs with us. I'll admire Eric's new background while we wait.
Thank you.
All right, here we go. We are live and happy Thursday, Mediavine publishers. How is everybody doing? I'm not sure about you, but I think it's a great day to talk about the business of content creation. And that's what we're here for. So how convenient. Summer is definitely winding down, although someone needs to tell the temperature about that in many places, especially where I am. Back to school is actually happening, as opposed to the BTS commercials that started showing in the beginning of July, which is a assault as far as I'm concerned. So guys, welcome. Whose kiddos are already back in classes and who is still soaking up the last days of summer fun? Say hey and tell us in the comments, or maybe you're back to school yourself, in which case, good for you. That's amazing. All right. We definitely consider ourselves lifelong learners here at Team Mediavine, which is why we devote so much time to creating resources for our publishers on the blog, in our very extensive help documentation library, and of course, with shows like today's State of the Vine, where we provide our publishers with exclusive access to Mediavine CEO Eric Hochberger. We put him in the hot seat, literally, he is in Florida, and give you guys the mic to ask him your most pressing questions. So let's get into it. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you. Good to be here as always.
Yes, we haven't spoken since May. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a summer.
Summertime. A bit of summer. All right, everybody's been saying hi and kind of rolling in. But since time is of the essence, wanted to give everyone a reminder. If you have a question for Eric, please drop it in the comments and we will do our best to get to as many as we can. I'm going to go ahead and jump right in with the biggie. Eric, give us an overview of the state of the industry. We have had a lot of factors at play: worldwide pandemic, not quite a recession, AI. We actually had a question from one of our publishers, from Max of Strike and Catch. He says, is it just me, or are RPMs still considerably lower than 2022? So how are Mediavine publishers standing up to the rest of the industry?
Ooh, I'm glad you and Max are starting things off light. A nice easy softball. Thank you, guys.
Sure, yeah, of course.
Yeah. No, I think 2023 has definitely been an interesting year so far. We have seen, obviously, recession fears at the beginning of the year. We were coming out of the pandemic. A lot of people now. The good news is let's lead with that. I think the good news is that a lot of the fears of a recession have been easing. Inflation's been taken care of for the most part. And so we're actually starting to see a lot of that advertiser spend is coming back. So that's the good news. CPMs are still not where they were in 2022. And remember, how you're actually getting paid for your ads are CPMs, not just RPMs. So those are not quite where they were last year. But I have some exciting news to announce, and that is RPMs for the month of August are actually up year over year for Mediavine publishers. Most of the industry definitely cannot claim that, and that's thanks to some of the wizardry and hard work of our team, working hard to make sure that Mediavine publishers are actually earning more this year. So if you are feeling that RPMs have been down compared to 2022, I encourage you to look at this month to date, because August is looking good overall. So that's not going to be every single person, but for the most part, Mediavine publishers are doing very well this back half of the year.
All right. I'm actually going to drop in, get off a little off script, and say, Olivia says, will RPM ever go up for UK traffic? I have a UK-based website, but I'm having to focus on American tourism to get more US traffic because my UK RPM is so bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think the UK is one of the better like countries in terms of getting traffic from. You're not coming to us and saying, I don't know, I have traffic from China or India, right? It's still very high CPMs relative to the rest of the world. But the US is always going to be the highest RPMs. That's not to say we aren't always working to make sure our international publishers are optimizing the revenue. We look, trust me, by almost every country, especially in the top 20 countries, and the UK will always be there to optimize those individually. It's just, unfortunately, it just comes down to economics, which countries most advertisers are trying to reach their audience in, and that's the US.
All right. Thank you so much for the question, Olivia. Okay. Any tips you'd offer Mediavine publishers, as we know we're heading into Q4 soon, So any tips you'd offer our Mediavine publishers to maximize their earnings before we head into this traditionally higher spending time for advertisers?
Yeah. So as everyone knows, our favorite time of the year is coming up. Again, to remind everyone, Q4 really, although it does begin with October, the best time of the year is definitely right around Black Friday. So for our non-American folks, it's the Friday after Thanksgiving, straight through Christmas. So that is the most magical time of the year. But all of Q4 spend, and you can expect even September to be up. So what can you do to prepare for that? Same advice we typically always give. Make sure you know how to use our tips for optimizing your site and content, and you can get those from the RPM Elevator course in Mediavine University. So if you haven't done that, we'll definitely provide the link. Do that and then use those tips to focus on your seasonal content. So remember, what's going to do well in Q4 is probably different than what does well on Q1 for a lot of sites, unless you're entirely evergreen. So make sure you check your Google Analytics, which I guess would be your Universal Analytics, to see what did well last holiday season, and make sure you're optimizing that content and existing to your current content. And then, of course, the biggest tip we can give is make sure you're running Grow, particularly things like recommended content. So you can get a second page view out of your user. Nothing's going to increase your session RPM more than getting an additional page view out of your users. And of course, building up that incredibly valuable newsletter audience. So using features like Spotlight Subscribe, which also helps you generate more first-party data and authenticated traffic, which is going to lead to higher RPMs. So going across the board, grow, optimizing content, and optimizing your site.
Okay. I am going to circle here because you said some terms. We haven't talked about them in a while, which was, you said authenticated traffic or user, you said first party data. So we talk about Grow. It is our first party data and audience engagement solutions. But before we get into all those latest updates, let's do a quick overview, as we always do. What is Grow? What is first party data? Why do we keep talking about cookies?
So third-party cookies are the things that basically power all ads on the internet. They would allow advertisers to find their right audience, serve the right ads to them, and basically could track how well that ad did for them. Third-party cookies are going away, if you can believe it, starting in 2024, January. We should start to see the beginning of the cookies being phased out. So the thing we kept talking about being so far into the future and got delayed a couple times is actually finally here. So we say 2024, it's really not that far around. When Q4 comes to an end, cookies will start to go away. So it's no longer a thing in the future we're talking about. It's a thing we're talking about with really in the next 6 months, you're going to start seeing. All right, so third-party cookies, they were the magic that made ads work. What are we going to do when third-party cookies are gone to make sure we all continue to make money and advertisers continue to reach their audience? And that's where you see me using words like first-party data. So that is where the publisher or Mediavine is going to help you generate the audiences that are going to allow advertisers to target. So that's the idea of, if someone was trying to reach car buyers, Mediavine can say, hey, these are potential car buyers. So now for GM, you can continue to spend money with Mediavine publishers and still reach your audience. So that's what first party data is, and Grow is one of the ways in which we help you do that. Authenticated traffic is when a user logs into your site. That's incredibly important because that will allow advertisers to actually do what are called retargeting ads or attribution, which is where, let's say they want to sell you because you looked at a fridge online maybe somewhere. You might keep getting fridge ads for the next 6 months, particularly the fridge you were looking at, until you buy one. And then people are going to realize, okay, this person now bought that fridge. Hopefully they'll stop targeting you at that point. But it also can go back to the advertiser who knows buying on your site and buying those ads worked. So both of those things are powered very much by third-party cookies today, but will be powered by authenticated users in the future. And then, of course, there's Google Privacy Sandbox things such as the recently renamed PAPI or Protected Audiences. These things were all formerly birds, for those of you who don't remember, and then topics. So those are the two big solutions coming out of the Privacy Sandbox. They're also going to give advertisers ways to target these. So those are kind of the solutions coming. And hopefully some of the buzzwords I used were explained.
Okay, thank you, Eric. I want to just zero in on this quickly. Mm-hmm. What is Grow basically the solution, period? You said some Google stuff, you said some other things. So how is it all going to work together? Does it all work together?
So I think there's never going to be a full replacement for third-party cookies. It's going to take a series of things to get advertisers what they wanted before. And that's because by their nature, third-party cookies didn't give users the privacy and controls that they needed. So we have to rebuild the third-party cookie. And you can't just do that with one solution. That's why you see things like Google, who's offering topics, which is part of the solution, but definitely not the full solution. That lets you just target people that maybe, I don't know, we're into cars or we're a vegan or whatever it may be. They're a very limited set of topics. So they're just part, again, of the solution. You have protected audiences, which is going to allow advertisers to do things like the retargeting ads that I mentioned before, where they could say, hey, you were interested in a fridge. I'm going to serve you fridge ads. And then you have things like authenticated traffic, which we offer Grow to help you give your readers incentive to log in. And we have a single sign-on across all 6,000 publishers running Grow today. So it's going to be a much easier solution for readers to want to be able to log in again, and we give them reasons. And you need to be able to do that in order to get authenticated traffic, which again is part of the solution. And first-party data, a little more tricky, but again, that's something that you're going to rely on someone with scale like Mediavine to be able to help you along with your fellow publishers build together.
Okay, so they do work together. It's not,
Yes.
we're not saying Grow is the one thing that you use or the Google Privacy Sandbox. You're going to need both because, as you said, we're trying
Correct.
to build all of these things together to make up for what the third-party cookie does for us today. Yes?
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you look at any Google article, every single Google article that talks about Privacy Sandbox will stress how important first-party relationships and first-party data are, because not the Privacy Sandbox alone isn't the solution, nor is first-party data, because we have to be realistic. Not every user is going to log in with Grow to your site. So we have to help you make money on the users that don't log in with Grow. And so that's where you kind of see this two-pronged approach that is recommended by Google, recommended by Mediavine, and most of the web.
Okay, so we say they can work together. Are they working together? Are we working with Google to test some of these solutions?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We are one of just a handful of Google certified publishing partners that made the new premier status. That means we are the closest partners you can imagine to Google. So we work with the Chrome team, which is actually the people who are building the Privacy Sandbox, in addition to the ad team, who we're partnered with through GCPP. So we work with Google in all ways we can to make sure that the Privacy Sandbox is aligned with independent publishers, because a lot of what they're building for are for large publishers, and we have to make sure that our publishers have a voice. So we are definitely in every room that you can be with Google discussing these things.
I'm going to brag. Can I brag? There are six Google certified publishing partner premier people worldwide. 6.
Right.
Mediavine is one of the 6, which means that if Google's talking about it, we do know about it and are in the room. So, all right, we got a whole bunch of questions, so I'm going to start bringing them up, Eric. All right, here we go. For instance, this is someone asking, let me get the first part of that question. Apologies there, I have to find it. Okay, Eric, as we transition away from third-party data towards first-party data through Grow, how is the revenue model affected? Going to the second part of that. For instance, should we prepare for an industry-wide dip in ad spend CPM, or will Mediavine be able to charge advertisers more for first-party data access in order to bolster creators?
Yeah, so every sign we're seeing right now is pointing the first-party data is worth way more than we were seeing with third-party data. That's the great news. So already, if you're running Grow today on Chrome, where third-party cookies exist, you'll still make more money if a user is logged in, because it is more valuable, more trustworthy data than third-party data. So yes, you will see an increase in CPMs for sure on first-party data. And on Safari, where there are no third-party cookies, already it's worth about 300% more, those users, compared to non-logged in users. And we're just at the beginning of people trusting and using first-party data as their buying patterns. So I think after the third-party cookies are fully gone, you can expect that inventory to be worth way more than 300% even. And so the question becomes really, how many of your users can you collect first-party data on? And that's going to vary from site to site based on your content and based on your strategies that you use of the tools we provide with Grow. So if you can get a site that has 10, 20% of your users logged in, if you do the math, you're going to make up the loss from third-party cookies and probably make more. If you're a user who publisher hasn't been running Grow at all and has 0% of their users logged in, you can expect a bit of a dip, even with the privacy sandbox and everything Mediavine's doing. So it's really going to vary based on every site's individual strategy.
Okay. So what is the sweet spot? We've talked about it. What is this? How many of our users do we need to aim to have logging in through Grow?
So I don't think we have an exact percentage we can share yet, because again, no one can predict what everything is going to look like once third-party cookies are gone, because a lot of these solutions are just sitting there waiting to be used by the advertiser. So publishers, or what we're called in the industry, so Mediavine is already helping test the privacy sandbox, and there are spend going through it, but it's like trivial amounts. It's experimental right now, and of course we build for this and we work with our partners because we have to be prepared. But advertisers aren't going to spend in these things yet until third-party cookies are gone. Why would they? Third-party cookies are technically better for targeting and getting them what they need and cheaper. So they're going to continue to buy the way they can until they have to. So it's very tough for us to be able to give you an exact number now, because is it going to be 300% increase in CPMs? Is it going to be 500%? It's very tough to know until advertisers actually start using these methods. And I think then we're going to be able to give people a better target to know, should I have 5%, 10%, 20% of my users logged in? It's really all going to come down to basically math. How many users do you need to be able to make up for it?
Great. Thank you for that answer. Okay. Do we need to do anything on our end with respect to the Google sandbox?
No, that's the good news. So that's something that Mediavine just takes care of for you. And you're not going to have to necessarily do anything on your end, just magic.
I love magic. Magic is great. All right. This is somewhat circling around Grow and the whole purpose of Grow, which is, how does a person who's not good with tech implement first-party data stuff? Smiley face
Grow.
that is sweaty.
Grow. I mean, that is what we have built this product for. So historically, if you wanted to build this first-party data, most publishers, even in the top publishers on the internet, are going to struggle to build this. Mediavine has built a tool that is designed for you don't have to have technical resources to implement Grow. That's the entire idea. If you go to grow.me/publishers, you can set up as Mediavine publishers. It's even easier. It's right in your dashboard, Grow in the sidebar in your Mediavine dashboard. You enable it. You start running things like Spotlight Subscribe. It's literally checking off some boxes. If you're a Mediavine publisher, we even work with you to help you set it up and optimize it if you need. We have help articles. It is built for content creators.
Excellent. Okay. Going to switch for a second. We've got quite a few GA4 questions, Eric. With the changes with GA4, is Mediavine trying to find us a solution to access the information we used to get easily before? It's so frustrating not to seeing the real-time data.
We are frustrated too. That much I want to tell you. GA4 is hard from our end. So we pull everything via the API. We're not able to get all the data that we were able to be able to show you even within the Mediavine dashboard. So I think if you're frustrated in GA4 when you log into it, we're frustrated with GA4 with what we're able to pull out of it. And of course, we're always trying to work on solutions to provide you with the data you need to be able to run your business. So we are always looking at ways that we can help supplement what GA4 is able to provide you.
Okay, gonna flip over here. Basic questions. How do we know if our users are logged into Grow? How do we encourage users to log into Grow? Most of my traffic is from Google search.
So the first question, that we are working on it. So we are building analytics into the Grow publisher portal. So that's going to be first starting with auto mailer, which is a feature we can talk about in a little bit. So that will be our first analytics that we're building in. And then we're working on analytics to be able to show you things like your authenticated traffic, how much more money Grow is making you. So we are definitely aware that that's not very easy to find at this moment. So we are working on it. And as far as tips to optimize that, that's going to, again, vary per site. The easiest way is Spotlight Subscribe. I think everyone should run that after they subscribe to your newsletter. There's just a little reminder for them to create a Grow account, things like favorites.
Can I pause you real quick?
Please.
Not just Spotlight Subscribe, right, Eric? There's a whole ton of features in the subscribe subset that people can use and mix and match. Spotlight Subscribe is one way of growing that list, but there are others, yes?
Yeah, so through our subscribe features, we also have pop-ups, which are actually Google friendly. So Google SEO optimized pop-ups. If you wish to run them, we're not telling you you have to. There's also, yes, Spotlight Subscribe, as I mentioned. There's things like click to subscribe. So you can put little subscribe buttons or text or links anywhere on your site to pop open a subscribe form when the user clicks on them. You can build your own forms to be able to use throughout your site, and they're beautiful, easy to build. And they have API integrations into the leading, what are called ESPs or email sending providers. So whether it's ConvertKit, MailChimp, or MailerLite, you can instantly zap them. And if it's not one of those three, we have a Zapier integration to be able to work with thousands of ESPs.
We also have another name that may be coming soon. Can we tease that? Will they kill us?
Yeah, they probably will, but it's okay.
Too late now.
Yeah, we're just amongst friends here. It's a small
We're
group.
just amongst a few hundred of our closest.
Yeah, so we had overwhelming requests from our publishers to add Flowdesk as a provider. Flowdesk didn't have an API. We got to meet with the lovely folks at Flowdesk. It turns out we're getting the request from you guys as well. So we're working together to go build a Flowdesk integration, their first one ever. So that should be pretty exciting. And hopefully our publishers can take advantage of that.
Awesome. Great. Okay. This is an interesting question. What if we set up Grow before we got Mediavine? Is that a problem? Will you lose everybody that you signed up for? I'm assuming that's the question.
Then you did the right path. And that's one of the things that we're actually encouraging. We want Grow to be something you can do even before you get into Mediavine. It's one of the main reasons we made Grow for non-Mediavine publishers, because we know a lot of you on second sites or people who are trying to get into Mediavine want to be able to build things right from the beginning or follow our advice. So it's not a problem. All of that first-party data is just going to come right on in when you join Mediavine. So you're already building up your loyal audience before you even join Mediavine. So you did things the right way. We're working on an integration. So if you set up Grow before Mediavine, it's just going to be an easy click to make sure the two are linked. So that is coming soon.
Fantastic. Okay. So you teased a little bit there. We had a lot of questions about analytics and data for Grow, learning about the earnings, learning about how many users they have that are logged in, the path, all the things that we're working on adding to the Grow Publisher portal. And then also, if you are not in the Grow Publisher portal, that is something you should do, right? Well, what is the Grow Publisher portal, Eric?
So when we first created Grow, we had all the settings inside the Mediavine dashboard while we were building out Grow. And then we built its own dashboard, which all new features have been in for the last, I don't even know, 6 months, year, however long we've had the Grow Publisher portal live. And so we've been asking people to go migrate over. If you haven't already, it's pretty easy to do. It's inside the Mediavine dashboard, and we can send out help articles on how to do this. And it gives you encouragement to go move over to the new Grow Publisher portal. And once you switch over, all your contacts, everything you've done, it's just going to move over, all your settings, and then you get access to all the new features of Grow.
Yeah, you may be surprised. If you're only running Grow through your Mediavine dashboard, you're missing out on quite a bit right now. So you need to go over. And that's where we're going to be adding the analytics. Yes, Eric, the majority of them?
Exactly. All analytics going forward. Previously, the only way we were able to share on analytics was through Google Analytics, which I believe we did port over to GA4. But we're going to have much more in-house, more readable analytics coming through the Grow Publisher portal soon.
Very exciting. Okay, so that's something that's coming down the road. Can you give us any other? We've got Flowdesk coming down the road soon. We have some people asking. Someone in here asked about ConvertKit, but we already have ConvertKit set up. So that integration is available to you in your Grow Publisher portal. But what else? What else is going on right now with Grow?
So I think the best way you can find out everything that's going on is make sure, first off, everyone's signed into Grow Labs. So that's an optional thing you can sign up in the Grow Publisher portal. That gets you access to features first. It allows you to help participate in a lot of the cool new betas and products we are building, getting access to them, like I said, early, including Auto Mailer. So currently, I believe that's live for 40% of our Grow Labs users. So turn it on, and you might not see Auto Mailer there live for you yet, but it will be coming. So if you're interested in Auto Mailer, which is an automated newsletter solution, as simple as you literally just click a button and it can start emailing your subscribers automatically on your behalf, so you don't have to pay for or work on sending an ESP, pay for or work on setting up an ESP. Not to say this fully replaces something like a ConvertKit, but this is for publishers that might not have ConvertKit set up or MailChimp and don't want to go through that process and get the full features of a full ESP.
Okay, so we've got Auto Mailer. You mentioned that. We're already testing that in Grow Labs. We had another feature release come out recently, InView. What is InView?
InView is great. So if you're familiar with InView from Mediavine ads, it's when that ad kind of sticks inside the little that little box while you're scrolling and helps improve viewability of ads. Well, it turns out it massively helped improve the viewability of subscribe forms. So we now allow you to run InView with Spotlight Subscribe. And we saw, I think it was like a 40 to 50% increase in signups just by turning on InView. So another thing that we were able to bring to our Grow Labs users first. So InView, incredibly exciting, just a little toggle you can turn on to increase your subscribers.
Awesome. Okay, so we've got Auto Mailer coming. It's already in testing. We've got some people commenting in here that they love Auto Mailer. They're already really enjoying it. So who is Auto Mailer for?
I think it could potentially be for everyone, which I know is a generic answer. But I would say the primary people that should be running Auto Mailer today are people that have no email list. So if you're doing nothing to work on your email, or you have an email list that you are not actively maintaining or working on, you should run Auto Mailer. Auto Mailer is going to be an automated solution, and it's perfect for people that didn't want to build a full email solution. That said, if you have a bunch of sequences set up in ConvertKit and your Forever series, and you have been following advice from an expert in the email field, you probably don't want to run Auto Mailer yet, or potentially you could run the two side by side, where you could, let us take over that Forever series, and you can just take care of the sequences. There are ways in which you can use them together, but its primary target is going to be for people that have no email sending strategy today.
So if you haven't had the time or haven't wanted to invest either the time or the money into your email series, go into your Grow Publisher portal, sign up for Grow Labs. And then this is a great question that would be relevant. If we enable Grow Labs, do we still get to decide what is activated, or do the new features automatically populate?
Okay, so one of the things that Grow Labs does do is it opts you into beta testing of features. Some of them are going to be, I would say, there's small tests that will be run that you may not activate. So that might be us testing out, I don't know, maybe a different widget, like the widget style. And that'll be just for a small percentage of your users. That kind of stuff you're not going to activate, but that's towards the betterment of Grow. We're only going to launch that feature if it actually worked. So we continuously run A/B tests, I should say, on all of our ad tech as well. So this is just the same thing we're doing with Grow. The difference is with Grow, we only do that if you enable Grow Labs. You probably won't notice or shouldn't stress about that. We're not activating any major features in Grow Labs without your consent. So things like Auto Mailer, that's the stuff you'll be turning on, and we'll be encouraging you to and sending out, hey, Grow Labs, help us test this, give us your feedback. So it's the best way to be able to also give feedback, I should say, and help steer where Grow is going.
Okay, we're gonna have to get into the weeds here because we've got some really great questions from our audience about how this works. Okay, the first part is easy. Can we use Grow across our Mediavine and non-Mediavine sites?
Yes, absolutely.
Nailed it. Easy. Here we go. If we use Grow on the non-Mediavine site and gather first-party data logged in users, will that benefit us if the user then visits our Mediavine site? Before you answer, I'm going to bring in another question that is related to this. Okay. Are all logged in Grow users across the internet considered first-party when they visit any Mediavine site?
Okay. So the way this is going to work is very complicated after third-party cookies go away, and it's not entirely 100% set in stone. I'm going to use everything based on how Safari handles things today on an iPhone. And the iPhone is the most privacy-safe environment you can be in. So that would be worst case scenario. This is what the future of the web looks like. And I'm going to use that for my examples. All right. So for Grow, first off, if someone creates an account on one site, that's a Grow account. So they can use that same login to log into any site. So if your fellow publishers are getting people to create Grow accounts, that benefits you. However, on an iPhone, if they visit your site, there's no third-party cookies. So they're not logged into your site when they go there. But with one click, they can be instantly logged back in through Grow because they have an account at Grow. So they don't have to create a new account. You don't have to log in. And in fact, it gives us lots of cool things we can do, such as with Auto Mailer, if they click a link through Auto Mailer, they could come back signed in automatically. So there's lots of cool tricks we're going to be able to do as third-party cookies go away. But the way you can think of it is we're all helping each other build first party data, but it's still going to be on each publisher to get those users to log back in when they come to your site. And that's where really using all the tips and tricks we're going to be providing with Grow, especially next year, are going to be so handy.
And it's also good for, so I know that we're talking now from a publisher standpoint. So I hear you. And we're talking about the tips and tricks and things like that. These are all features that are going to appeal to your reader, because your reader is going to want to be able to access their bookmarks. They're not going to, I don't know. I think we all feel the same way, that we hate it when we get logged out and then we try to go back into something and go, dang it, I'm on a different user and I can't find any of my stuff. And this is going to make it easy for your reader to get back access to all of their stuff. Yes, Eric?
Yeah, I don't want to say we're 1,000% there yet, because Grow is an evolving product, but our goal is to make sure that your readers are excited to see Grow on a site. There has to be a benefit. We're providing readers that they want to log in. The entire web is eventually going to have login systems and what are called either offer walls or free walls, or all sorts of words combined with wall. But basically the idea of content being locked off, like we see on things like the New York Times today. But rather than paying, people are going to have to log in. But we want people to be excited, right? By seeing Grow. We want to reduce the friction, as they say, make it as easy as possible. In fact, there's clever ways we can make it so they never even have to click log in. They could install, whether it's extensions, whether it's apps, there's a lot of roads we can go down to make sure your readers have the easiest time logging in on your site.
And following up just here, Eric, on what you just said, our readers, they're so great. Our audience is so great at having questions that go precipitate right what we're about to say. But why would someone want to log into Grow just to get more personalized ads? Huh?
Yeah. People love personalized ads, right? Isn't that reason enough?
I mean, I don't want toe fungus ads. I think that's something people don't think about. Like, I don't necessarily want ads for things that I'm not at all interested in. So there is some benefit there.
Yeah, so we just have to be realistic, right? Our readers don't necessarily understand how ads work, and they're not logging in for that reason. We have to give them other reasons. So that one of them is, as Jenny was alluding to before, bookmarks. They can have a shared set of bookmarks across sites. They can get personalized content recommendations. So recommended content is actually customized to the reader if they're logged in. But that's all kind of more of light stuff. I think you're going to see us go heavier into reader features over time. So a lot of it is coming soon is what I'm going to say, but know that that is very heavily on our minds. We realize that we have to provide you with more and more tools to give your readers more and more. And a great example of that is exclusive content that we'll be building on more and more, but that is the idea of allowing you to choose certain content that is only for your logged in readers. That's one way you can encourage them today.
And so for the bookmarks, just to go in a little more deeply there, anyone else have 700 open windows on their phone right now? Then when you're trying to tell someone about a thing, you have to go through all of the different windows to try to find, and you never can find the thing that you were looking for. Grow right now makes that not a problem. You can save your bookmarks when you're logged in on your phone, and you can just get everything sorted out there. Now, going forward, like Eric was saying, what we really want is to create an experience where your audience can basically curate their own spot on the internet, where they can follow the creators they want to. If they're into sourdough bread and they're following, we can show them other people they might be interested in. They can actually have that relationship with the creator. They can have the content. I don't know how you guys use Pinterest anymore as a user, but a lot of where we're headed feels like when Pinterest was so cool and actually was your home base on the web, where you could create and save everything you found. So that's where we're headed. And it's exciting. All right, a couple of other questions here. I've noticed many sites responding to cookies privacy regulation by forcing a prompt at site load in to opt into cookies. If we don't offer this currently, should we? And could it affect RPM?
Yeah, so I think what you're referring to is what's called a CMP, Consent Management Platform. If you're in the EU, we are actually forcing you to run one if you want to run ads, because we want to make sure you're compliant from the ads. And we're working on making sure that we do offer a CMP in the US today. However, the difference is it is opt-out instead of opt-in. So that thing where you're forcing them at load to opt-in is only for countries and states that have opt-in. The US is currently opt-out everywhere. That looks a little bit differently. That's where in California, you see do not sell my information, or the other gajillion states that have also launched similar opt-outs. So yeah, will a CMP help you? Not necessarily if you're in an opt-out state, but I do think in the future we're going to see more and more opt-in, more and more privacy regulation, and Mediavine's here to help you, as always, with that CMP, especially when it comes to your ads, and hopefully coming up with ways that you can use it for non-ads as well.
We also have an advantage over the other companies in the full service ad management space with some investments we've made in terms of our hiring for the last year with all of these new privacy regulations. Eric, can you tell them a little more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how exciting everyone will feel about this, but we actually have a small little
I'm
legal team here at Mediavine. You're excited. I'm excited. No one's ever been so excited about lawyers. So yeah, no, we hired General Counsel Jamie Lieberman, formerly of Hashtag Legal, that a lot of you may have known. She's been on lives before. We were luckily able to get her to come work at Mediavine and build a small team here. We're hiring obviously outside counsel as well and other jurisdictions to make sure that we are experts at privacy and regulation to make sure you're staying compliant. So you get that with Mediavine that I cannot say you will find another ad management company that offers.
Okay. One moment. I'm looking for here. This is a great question. Is there any plan to offer a single sign-on option to Grow, i.e., a browser extension or app that keeps the user logged in from a mobile device so that even clicking through on a random Google search result, they are already logged in?
Yeah, I think that is definitely one of the areas we're exploring as we get more and more Grow users, figuring out ways. Again, think about iPhone right now experience. It's not great. You don't want to have to click log into Grow on every site. And again, if there's a reason a reader wants Grow on, we certainly can offer them tools to make it easier for them to stay logged in across Mediavine sites or Grow sites.
Okay. Later down the road, should we notify our readers that these changes are coming so when they visit our sites one day and see a pop-up requesting them to log in, they don't panic and think, oh, we can't view this site anymore or assume it's subscription based?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think if you have your loyal readers, this is certainly people you can talk to. And that's again why we encourage things like newsletters. You should have that relationship where you feel I can tell my readers, hey, this thing is coming. I would say probably hold off on that till it's a little closer to when these kind of pop-ups are coming. But definitely forging that relationship is very important to be able to tell them about. But then you got to remember a lot of your users are, of course, single page view users. If you're anything like the typical Mediavine publisher, a bulk of your traffic is coming in off Google search or off a social network. And they are going to have to get that pop-up, which is where we hope enough sites run and grow and that experience being good enough for a reader that they're going to want to log in. So that just comes from, unfortunately, when they see enough of these, they will know what they are.
And another great thing to focus on now, I think, is building up those opt-ins, thinking of the ways you can incentivize people to want to have a Grow account, to want to subscribe to your newsletter, to want to have that longer term relationship with you and come back to your site. And that's with a lot of those opt-in incentives like your top 10, your number 5, that especially heading into Q4 and the holiday season, there's a lot of great things you can do to set up to get people incentivized to sign up. Okay. European law requires opt-in for Google Analytics. Are there plans for an integration into a Mediavine CMP?
Yeah, so we are what's called TCF 2.1 compliant, and I believe Google Analytics actually reads TCF strings. So if your vendors are all following the TCF spec, it already works. We're already collecting consent on behalf of Google and any purposes that they ask for in Europe. I can't give you legal advice to tell you whether you're compliant with Google Analytics, but if they are TCF compliant 2.1 or later, and you can Google this, just look, is Google Analytics TCF 2.1 compliant? And if not, what you're really looking for then is going to be kind of more of a full CPM offering where you'll have a little more control. That's actually something we're looking to partner with a company to be able to offer our European publishers in particular that want to be able to follow this for not just Mediavine ads, but for all aspects of their data.
Okay, I have another question here. Going to bounce back into the login. We've been talking about this on Olivia. When someone logs in to Grow on my site, do they remain logged in until they log out, or do I have to get them to log in every time they come back to my site?
Great question. So again, this is like on Chrome. Yes, they will stay logged in even after third-party cookies are gone. And that is the best part. So like you get them to log in once, every time they visit your site, they stay logged in. Apple every 7 days, you probably noticed this as you're browsing the web. You have to constantly relog in things on your iPhone. Android people are probably laughing at us, but that is our reality. And that will be the reality on your site as well. We're working on clever ways that we can make it, again, easier for users to come automatically logged in, or easier ways to help you be able to log them in easier. But for now, it's every 7 days they'll have to log back in on Safari. That's just an Apple limitation.
Okay. All right. We may still have some questions coming in about grow, privacy, cookies, all of that. Feel free to ask them. We spent quite a bit of time here, though, and I want to make sure that we do have time to talk about AI. I think it's definitely been the topic of 2023, at least as far as in our neck of the woods, with content creators, with generative AI coming out. Let's talk about what's happened so far and how Mediavine is stepping in to support our content creators.
Yeah, so I think, obviously we have 10,000 content creators here at Mediavine. So at the forefront of every thought of ours is, how does this affect our content creators? And we are dedicated to helping protect the original content creators on the web, right? Ultimately, generative AI is learning from somewhere. It's learning from our content as publishers. And we find that's our responsibility as Mediavine to help give your voice in the same way we do for ads, making sure we give that same voice to companies like Google and to companies like ChatGPT. So we are working to make sure that your voices are heard. And I think they've already been heard, because if you look, ChatGPT recently offered a way to block indexing from your site. We have a blog post on this. So if you choose to block ChatGPT from indexing your site and learning from your content, you can. It's important to note, though, that remember things like Bing use that data and will send you traffic as a result of if they're indexing your site. So it's a catch-22. Do you want the robots to learn from your content and provide you traffic or not? So that we leave that decision in your hand. We're certainly not telling you block it, but we want to make sure content creators have that choice. And that's one of the things we're also working with Google on. You can also see how we're working with the ad industry at large to solve for problems like these. Recently, I had a blog post published in The Current. I think it was today, or was it?
It was today.
It was
yesterday.
Yesterday. All right. So if we want to provide a link to that as well, you can read, but it's basically calling on the advertising industry to help solve this. And we're working with the big consultants in the space and the big names to make sure that advertisers know you should be buying on human created content. And I will say also government bodies have taken notice, right? There's the AI Bill of Rights, but more recently, there's the FTC that has come in and said, if you're writing AI-based content, you need to disclose it. So think about we all have to do this with affiliate links, right? When the FTC said, hey, you have to start disclosing if you're making money off links. They're now going to say, if you're using AI, you have to disclose this. And I certainly think the web is going to have two different levels of content at some point, human created and AI created. We want to make sure that your content is rewarded for being human created.
And this goes beyond just protecting Mediavine publishers and protecting all publishers across the internet. Eric's really great post today with The Current is talking about avoiding that internet of blah. Because if we're only learning from AI and that's the only thing that's out there, we're not going to have a good internet anymore.
Right. So ultimately, you got to think about AI has to learn from somewhere. And if AI starts learning from itself, we have a very bad future for the internet and possibly humanity. So I do think it's incredibly important that we continue to make sure that content creators are paid and we have incentives to do so. And that's one of the voices we're trying to make sure publishers have out there.
And in the meantime, we will reiterate what we've talked about from the beginning, which is finding ways to leverage AI is incredibly important. Finding ways that it can help your workflow function as your new assistant or writer or whatever you do. We've got a great post talking about how to use that, which we can share to use AI. And we also will be creating more of this moving forward because some of our publishers are using it in really interesting ways. And guys, if you're using AI in a way that's really helping your business, we'd love to hear from you. Post it in the comments. Let's crowdsource this. Okay. As far as AI goes when it comes to Mediavine, beyond ensuring that we are protecting this is I just had a 1000% dystopian future protecting human content creators. I just had a flash of Minority Report. Anyway, so as far as AI goes when it comes to Mediavine, beyond defending and ensuring that we have a voice in the conversation, how are we looking to incorporate it, if at all, as a company? Are we looking to do something down the road with AI when it comes to our products?
Yeah, so I think generative AI is the new buzzword, but AI has been around for a while. Also, machine learning and techniques that we have been using at Mediavine for forever. I mean, products like Grow were built with AI or machine learning in place to make sure that recommended content, for example, is being served based on what a user is most likely to click rather than saying, here's some related content. What's going to get you the highest click-through rate? So AI has been around. So really what's new is this generative AI, chatbots. That's kind of like, I think what everyone is now like, okay, we have to incorporate this somehow. I think a lot of private equity and venture-backed companies are all racing this, and certainly publicly traded, to be like, here's how we implemented a chatbot. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the way that we're going to use generative AI, but we have an AI task force always going to figure out better ways we can incorporate this and better ways that we can help our publishers incorporate it. There's a lot of really cool ways in which AI can help assist you in your writing, as Jenny's alluded to, and we want to offer tools to be able to help you do that. Not necessarily building them all ourselves, but working with the popular tools.
We have some questions here, and I know Betsy asked a great question. I don't know if we have the answer yet, but say I use AI to help me craft content, and the final blog post is a unique piece of content. AI was one of the many tools used to complete the post. What's the line of usage that you have to disclose?
It's a great question, Betsy, and I think the same one we have. So go right into the small board at the FTC and get us the answer. Now, I mean, I think it's a
Yes.
very blurred line, right? Like ultimately, did you write the content or did ChatGPT? Did you feed it a prompt that said, write me a blog post on X and then copied and pasted it? Or did it help you assist? Like, did you have it help proofread your content? I think we're just going to have to use judgment here until we figure out, until the FTC starts actually ruling on these things or enforcing.
We're not the only ones getting a little bit spinning out with that, but all of us, publishers, the government, everybody is working to catch up with this new technology. So we're not alone. We've got some I'm using AI to turn YouTube videos into draft blog posts. Pretty cool way to use it. Using Open AI Whisper to transcribe audio, then GPT-4 to create a draft blog post. Fact check, add images, add personal experiences. That is a great way to alter. Definitely fact check. We've got some interesting experiences with people who weren't fact checking. All you need to do is Google to find them, but pretty funny. All right. This is good. I have an education website and I use AI. Proof check does well with overviews. It's not great with specific data. I do that manually. Love that. All right. Lots of good stuff here. Oh, and Betsy says, I mean, I do know people in DC, Eric Hochberger. So she does. If there's anybody, we've got Betsy on our side. So it's a good person to have on your side. Okay. Finally, we have gotten some questions submitted by everybody on our form, and then also through here in the comments asking about Mediavine products. And here is one from Andy of Reality Blurred. He asks, what's the status of Trellis? Will it ever emerge from a beta version? And he also is doing us the solid of making sure we have at least one Trellis question per live, as we know that is a requirement here.
Yeah, I'm glad the award goes to Andy this year. Thank you, or this live. So thank you. Yeah, no, Trellis is very much in active development, and we have an exciting new version to announce soon that Jenny can probably tease out when we're going to do. But yeah, Trellis, I think we're answering a lot of the requests we've had. Obviously, there's been many versions of Trellis we've released since then, but we have a pretty major version coming out that I think is going to answer, people who are like, how do I make Trellis not ugly? I think is the overall summary of what we're trying to fix. I can say it. It's our baby.
Yes, it is our baby. That will not be the tagline printed on any marketing materials. But yes, we've got some really exciting Trellis developments coming up and general Mediavine product developments. We've heard you guys asking questions about the Mediavine roadmap, where we're going, not only with our ad tech, but with our other products like Grow, which feed directly into our ad tech moving forward. So we have heard your requests. And due to that, we are going to have our first ever Mediavine product roadmap reveal on Wednesday, September 27th. You guys will be getting some save the date things soon, so you can put it on your calendar. But we're going to be talking about all of our major products. We'll be offering sneak peeks into the coming weeks, and then followed by a live panel with some Mediavine experts to answer your questions going forward. So we're really excited about that, and we will have more details to you as those come. Okay. Beyond that, Eric, I think that's about all. We have had a wonderful time here chatting, tons of questions. We've got September 27th coming up, and then another episode in September with Brandon of Rank IQ to talk about some SEO stuff coming our way. So we're looking forward to all of that. We want everybody to have a wonderful start to school, or not start to school, into summer, and we will see you in just a few weeks. Thank you, everybody, so much. Thanks, Eric.
All right. Thanks, everyone.